you doing, sir?
How are you? Good to see you. Okay, we have a bevy of elected officials. We are excited to be joined by. I'm Jano Lieber. I'm the chair and CEO of the MTA, and I am joined by, on the MTA side, the MTA Construction Development President, Jimmy Torres-Springer, and our Chief Accessibility Officer, Quamel Arroyo, but also, as I said, a bevy of distinguished elected officials, the Borough President of the Bronx, Vanessa Gibson. Thank you for being here and always supporting MTA. New York State Senators Gustavo Rivera and Natalia Fernandez. Thank you both for being here. Assemblymember John Zaccaro. Thank you. And the Dinowitzes, multiple, and they have been with us for many of these, so I just want to acknowledge that you've been stalwart supporter of our ADA program and of the MTA in general. And we always come back to you in City Council, but also in Albany for help. So thank you for what all of you are doing. Listen, it's great to be in the Bronx, and it's a beautiful day. And it's a beautiful day because we are making this stop accessible to 4,000 plus daily customers. This is the first completion in one of our major ADA packages. We call it ADA Package 3. And ladies and gentlemen, on time, under budget. And I don't know if we're ever gonna get people to stop writing about projects that were begun when George Pataki was the governor and Al D'Amato was in charge and all that stuff. But on the projects that we're doing, there is a lot of on time and on budget. So I gotta say, shout out to the contractors who are represented behind us. Jamie will talk more about them and name them, but shout out to the men and women of labor who deliver these kinds of projects. And shout out also to our friends in the advocacy community who show up at every one of these because they are so passionate. Look, I am super proud. It's not a secret because we do this a lot, of how fast we are knocking out these projects. 5 times the pace of the MTAs of the past. This is the 37th ADA station opening since we created MTA Construction Development, since I took over as the MTA chair and CEO. And we're going to keep using every available strategy to deliver ADA accessibility as quickly as possible with our partnership with the disability community, because every New Yorker deserves to be able to use the subway system, because that's not too exotic an idea. Every New Yorker deserves to be able to use our great transit system. Now, one of the reasons I'm proud to be here is to talk about what's true versus what sometimes gets written in the press, which is this summer, if you include the whole summer, crazy idea. Our friends in some of the press people like to say summer has been bad for the MTA and they only count June and July. But if you count August, ladies and gentlemen, this has been one of the best summers in MTA history, and we're going to continue to show people that we are delivering great service. And I'll put it up against any MTA of the past every day, all day. And one of the things that we talk about a lot these days is affordability. I got some politicians behind me who have that in their occasional repertoire. But let me tell you, MTA and transit is not an affordability problem. We are part of the affordability solution. At 15% of the cost of owning a car, the MTA is one of the few things that makes New York City affordable. You know what? Affordability is no good if you can't get on the subway. And let us recognize that many of the folks who are kept out by a lack of accessibility are the ones who need affordability most. Economically challenged populations, seniors, people living on fixed incomes, parents and caretakers with kids in strollers. Tough to raise a family in the city, but especially tough if you can't use the incredibly affordable transit system. And people in general with disabilities who are among the most economically challenged groups in our city. That is one of the reasons that we have to make the system affordable and available for everybody. So we're going to keep working like hell to deliver a truly accessible and fully accessible subway system to everybody. I am proud to lead the MTA in this era of change. And with that, let me turn it over to Jamie Torres-Springer, who actually makes all these projects happen.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jano. And we're thrilled to be in the Bronx to celebrate subway accessibility at this important station, Mosholu Parkway. I'm sure I'll talk about how the pronunciation of the station, so I'll leave it at that. It's our fifth newly accessible station this year, and it's also the first newly accessible station to open in what we call ADA Package 3, which is a little unique. It's a monster bundle of ADA work across the system, 13 stations in total. This package has now finished elevator replacements at 3rd Avenue 149th Street on the 2 and 5, Euclid Avenue on the A and the C, and 34th Street Penn Station on the A, C, and E. But this is the first one to be made newly accessible under this package, and a very complicated one at that. Package 3 is unique in another important way. It's our first contract to use a public-private partnership model. The private partner here, which is EAE and Halmar, they're financing construction on our behalf, and they'll be reimbursed after the project is built and then maintained to MTA standards, and only once the project is built, and only if it is maintained to MTA standards. Otherwise, they will not be paid. It's a great example of the innovative procurement methods that the new MTA is implementing to deliver accessibility better, faster, and cheaper, more affordably, and less cost to the taxpayer. What did we get done at this station? We made it ADA accessible, yes, but we also made other improvements for this station's 4,000 daily riders. 2 new elevators on this side, northbound, mezzanine to platform, street to mezzanine to platform, and on the southbound side, mezzanine to platform. Upgrades to the ADA boarding area on the platform, that's a big part of unlocking accessibility, and then lots of state of good repair work. 2 existing stairwells renovated. We added 3 new stairwells, which really improves access to the station and circulation. We upgraded the station booth. We expanded the mezzanine at the southbound platform and added a new fare control area, which includes a new Omni fare machine and 3 new turnstiles and 3 new accessible gates. So a lot of investment getting made in this station, even as we made it accessible. I want to thank the key players who got this done. Brian Leone, who's our project executive, is not here, but he's a big part of pushing this forward. Suresh Mustiala is here. He's a big part of this. Agron Gashi, who looks after all of this for us. And then our contractors, EAE, Halmar, Forte plays a big role in this. The program manager from STV, and Otis Elevator, which is doing this first elevator work in our system. So what we have to look forward to in this package, and I'm going to look to the contractor to agree to this. Church Avenue on the B and the Q, and Rockaway Boulevard on the A. Jano's neighborhood, we've made that a big all stations are priorities. Rockaway Boulevard on the A this year, and then 5 more stations will all be made accessible in 2026. Can I get a nod from the contractor team here that that's what's going to happen? Thank you very much. And thanks, everyone. And I'll pass it on to my... What's that? I'm gonna call up Senator Gustavo Rivera for his remarks. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much, Amy. Good morning, everyone. And it is indeed a good morning to be here. I just got on the city bike and came here, and then had that wonderful noise above us. And we were told, when the noise happens, don't stop. And that is, and I won't stop, not only because we have these speakers, but because that wonderful noise is the noise of a wonderful public transportation system that is so essential to the entirety of New York, and certainly essential to so many of my constituents, about 90% of which don't even own a car. So they need to get to work, they need to go visit their family or friends, and this is what they use every single day, this and the bus system. So making this accessible, making this station accessible, which again, as we said, has over 4,000 New Yorkers use every single day to get on the system, to get to work, to get to their families, etc., is essential. And even when we were here, matter of fact, when we were setting up, there was a gentleman who kind of saw the elevator, kind of looked at it a little weird. There comes the noise, but I'm not gonna stop, I'm just gonna go through it. And he kind of like, he had a walking cane, and he kind of like went like this, so he kind of opened the way, and then he went right to the elevator, and with a big smile on his face got on the elevator and went upstairs to the train. So this will happen thousands of times every single day, which is why I'm so glad to be able to celebrate along here with all of my neighbors and all the folks who made it possible. And speaking of folks who made it possible, it is not common for 2 senators to be in one place, in one geography, celebrating something that they did together. But that, I'm here with my colleague, who I'm going to introduce in 1 second, because before she was a senator, she was an assembly member, and she was one of the folks that actually helped make this possible. And that is my colleague, Senator Natalia Fernandez. Madam.
Thank you so much. It really is such an honor, a pleasure to be here today. Thank you. Many moons ago, I was a state assembly member, and I was standing actually on the other side of the street with the Dinowitz gentlemen when you were just a district leader. You were still an assembly member. With our local leaders from Tracy Towers advocating for this right here. So to see it actually come to fruition, to see the labor, the fruits of our labor is really what we look forward to as public servants. And I'm just so happy to see it done, that it is opening, that it's happening, and that we have another example of city paying attention to the concerns and needs of our constituents and delivering in a timely manner, a realistic manner. And I'm just so grateful for it. So thank you to the MTA. Thank you to all my partners in government for making sure that we got to this moment right here, and congratulations to this community for more accessibility. Thank you. And with that, I'm going to introduce the next assembly member, the current assembly member John Zaccaro.
Thank you so much, Senator. Today marks a significant milestone in our commitment to building a more inclusive Bronx and a city that we all love. The opening of 2 new elevators not only enhance accessibility at this subway station, but also embodies our dedication to ensuring that New Yorkers can navigate our transit system with ease and with dignity. For years, we've recognized that accessibility is not just a feature, it's a fundamental right. These elevators will empower individuals with disabilities, seniors, and parents with strollers, allowing them to confidently access the train station. And as we often say, accessibility is not just about ramps. It's about opening doors to opportunity, and that is what we're doing here today. With this crucial step, we're not just investing in infrastructure, we're investing in people. Accessibility means more than physical access. It means expanding the reach, and it means ensuring that everyone has the freedom to explore and the freedom to connect and thrive in our city. And so let's remember today, a truly great city is one that leaves no one behind. And today we take a giant step forward in making that vision a reality. And I want to thank my colleagues, Councilmember Eric Dinowitz, Senator Natalia Fernandez, who were on the ground many years ago, the community leaders here from Tracy Towers that are represented here today, and so many who stood to see today be a reality. And so I'm just proud to be able to join with all of you and want to thank my colleagues for all their work and thank the MTA for making sure that this got done. And I heard that it got done under budget, so I'm hoping that we can continue to use some of that funding to make sure that we can continue to make deeper investments in our community. Thank you guys so much, and God bless you all. And with that, I will turn it over to my colleague, Councilmember Eric Dinowitz.
Thank you. I also want to know what they're doing with that extra money. It'd be good to know. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Councilmember Eric Dinowitz, and this really is not just exciting for our city, that we are continuing to build a city that is accessible to everyone, but this particular project is, I think, really special for the community. 7 years ago, when I was not a council member, I was a district leader, and I was a teacher for students with disabilities. And we recognized in our community that our subway system, our transit system, was not accessible for all. And so we built a coalition of community leaders like Miss Jean Hill from Tracy Towers, elected officials like Assemblyman Jeff Dinowitz, and then Assemblywoman Natalia Fernandez, Senator Jamal Bailey, advocates like Sydney. And we stood across the street and said the Bronx needs to be heard, the Bronx needs to have accessible transit. So not just those in wheelchairs can access our transit system, but people coming home from the 2 hospitals who are here, older adults, maybe kids with a leg injury, parents tired after a long day of work, or parents like me who are lugging strollers up staircases. And together, we collected over 2,000 community signatures saying this is a need in our community, testified to the MTA, and importantly, the MTA listened. They heard the community, and they put it in the capital plan that this station was to receive ADA compliant upgrades, not just elevators, but upgrades for visible and invisible disabilities, because we need to make a city accessible for all. They heard us, they did it, and I am grateful to everyone at the MTA and the construction team for listening to the community, and I look forward to a New York City that continues to move towards a city that is accessible to everyone. And with that, I want to turn it over to one of the other partners in our coalition that advocated for accessibility at this station, Assemblyman Jeffrey Dinowitz.
Thank you, Councilman. I cannot tell you how excited I am to be here today. This was 7 years in the making, but it happened. And I want to thank the MTA and everybody associated with this project. And I think what it shows is when the community comes together, we can get results. When we formed the coalition, I think you and Gene Hill were the co-chairs of this coalition, and they got countless people from the community involved, people involved with the 2 hospitals, with the Mosholu Montefiore Community Center, certainly Tracy Towers, and other organizations and individuals. The community came together and spoke with a very strong and united voice that we need the accessibility at this station. We knew it would take a long time. Projects take a while, and there were others already in the queue ahead of us. But it happened, and it would not have happened but for the activism of everybody who is here today and many other peoples. So I just want to say thank you to everybody who made this wonderful thing happen. Everybody in New York should have the ability to use our subways. No one should be excluded. And by having the elevators and other accessibility improvements that have been made, in this area, everybody will be able to use the subway, and hopefully one day that'll be true throughout the city. So with that, I'm going to pass it on to, and by the way, it can be Mosholu, but I grew up with Mosholu, just for the record. Thank you. Yep. I want to introduce our fighting, our hardworking borough president, Vanessa L. Gibson.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. What an honor to be here, because this beautiful day represents such an incredible opportunity to celebrate our success as a community and to celebrate the incredible investments that we are seeing now at the Mosholu Parkway station here on Jerome Avenue in the Norwood community on the number 4 line. I am so excited to be here as the Bronx Borough President to join all of my colleagues in government, all of our transit advocates and community leaders to really celebrate this incredible moment. $55.8 million commitment right here at the station. New elevators, enhancing our stairwells, making sure that we improve the customer experience is exactly the priorities that we fight for as elected officials. And I recognize that this journey started 7 years ago when I served in the New York City Council fighting for District 16, and now as Borough President, I get the honor of fighting for the Bronx. And I've had many conversations and meetings with the MTA, and I want to thank our President and CEO, Jano Lieber, as well as Jamie Torres Springer, the entire Capitol team, MTA, New York City Transit, all of our contractors and partners for this incredible investment. It matters when we provide accessibility at our local subway stations. It matters when we are able to invest money to make a difference in our community. We need all of our subway stations to be ADA accessible, because it is important for all New Yorkers, whether you have a disability or not. We have a Disability Advisory Council at Borough Hall, and our council members from the local community board, those that live with a disability, are always advocating across the borough to make sure that these enhancements and station upgrades are made. So earlier this year, I acknowledged that we were in Westchester Square in the East Bronx, and we celebrated our first, for 2025, our fully ADA accessible subway station in East Tremont, Westchester Square, on the number 6 train. And I love these announcements and I love these recognitions because it matters. And the residents and families that live here in Norwood, to the businesses, the Jerome Gun Hill corridor, the residents and patients that utilize our local hospitals, the community centers here at Tracy Towers, Community Board 7, we are all in this together. And so my gratitude to the MTA. I want to thank you for investing in the Bronx. As you look across the city, this over $600 million investment across 5 boroughs recognizes that the Bronx is a part of that. And so today's recognition here at Mosholu is one more step. We have other stations that are in the queue, and I cannot wait for us to celebrate those openings as well, because we want to modernize our subway system. The largest transit system in the world is right here in the city of New York, and every Bronx resident deserves to have modernized stations. Those New Yorkers living with disabilities, those that may have a mobility issue, older adults, parents with small children, all of that, it all matters. And so my gratitude to everyone, to all of my colleagues in government who fought this journey for 7 years and never gave up. This is truly a dream come true, and I want to thank everyone for the role that you played, because this is truly a labor of love, and we are excited about today, and we are thankful for all of our advocates, and certainly thank you to the MTA and everyone involved, and let's continue to celebrate and recognize the importance of ADA accessibility in our subway stations across the Bronx. Thank you so much, everyone. Yes, I love that we have a list. I am very excited to recognize and call up our MTA Chief Customer Officer. And let me tell you about Chief Accessibility Officer. Let me tell you about Kwamel Arroyo. He has been a champion fighting for accessibility for years all over our city. And each and every time that we are at a new subway station that we are acknowledging that is ADA accessible, I appreciate your work. You are working closely with our Disability Advisory Council and all of my members, and I want to say thank you for your leadership and thank you for your commitment, and we celebrate this with you today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Borough President. Thank you, and good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. It is truly a pleasure to be here with all of you today. But I just want to start by acknowledging some folks who we haven't heard yet. I want to acknowledge Edgar Ramos from the Municipal Service Chair, Bronx Community Board 7, Carla Carrera from the district manager, and you heard already Gene Hill, the president of Tracy Towers Tenant Association, who had been advocating for this project for many, many years. Folks, it is a pleasure to be celebrating this today, and it takes a village. This is a transportation hub. And what does that mean? That means that at this very station, we have 3 lines from the B line that connect here, connecting folks from Westchester to the city. We have 4 local bus lines that move here, and you already heard 4,000 riders move through the station every day. I am so excited to see the new trips of those 4,000 riders, because accessibility is universal. And that means that parents, caregivers, people who are going shopping are going to have a better transit experience when they move through here. And of course, I am very excited for the additional trips of people with disabilities like myself, for whom without an elevator, this transit station is moot. No more is that the case. We are so excited to be delivering this access to independence. And that independence is for the 1 million plus New Yorkers with disabilities, but also our 1.5 million aging New Yorkers over the age of 65, to whom I want to say, forget the Carolinas, forget Florida. Age in place here in New York City with your loved ones, with the communities that you help build. We have so much to celebrate here, but we have 13 stations in the Bronx that are prioritized for accessibility, including 2 terminals just up the street at Woodlawn and Norwood 205th Street on the D line. We have 6 stations in construction right now, including important hubs like 149th Street, Grand Concourse, Park Chester, and Van Cortlandt Park, the end of the 1 train at 242nd Street. We are so excited to be working on those, and we know how important that is, not only for the speakers, but for the millions of residents here in the Bronx and all the tourists that come to the Bronx. There's a lot to see in the Boogie Downs, and I am so excited to be unlocking those potentials, those trips to all those visitors. This is really the new MTA. 19 accessible stations projected for the Boogie Down Bronx. And we're continuing to spread the message of an inclusive MTA. Right now, my team is at a senior center talking about all the different options that we have for accessible travel here in the Bronx. Those members are going to come here after this event, and we are going to give them a walkthrough so that they see and feel the new station that we have here, so that they don't just rely on paratransit and buses, which have always been accessible here at the MTA, but that reliance and trust also extends to our subway system, in which we are investing billions of dollars. Folks, it is a pleasure for me to work with Jano and Jamie and the whole team to make this reality happen. Unas cuantas palabras en español para nuestros televidentes en casa. Para mí es un placer estar aquí con la MTA celebrando otra estación accesible aquí en el Bronx, porque no solamente nos concentramos en Bajo Manhattan, en Bajo Brooklyn, todos los neoyorquinos merecen acceso al transporte. Y no solamente estamos hablando de transporte, eso significa independencia para todos los usuarios, no solamente los 4,000 usuarios que usan esta estación aquí en Mosholu diario, pero los usuarios que no están usando, los usuarios que solo usan paratransit, autobuses de la MTA, hoy también pueden usar el tren. Así que para nosotros es un placer siguiendo dándole esa independencia a todos los neoyorquinos. Muchas gracias.
All right. Thank you, Kimomel. Necesitamos mejorar el sistema de tránsito en Nueva York, ¿sí?
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactamente. Okay. I just one more time a shout out for the folks who from the community board and from Tracy Towers and other community activists. They're right behind us, being hidden by all these tall elected officials. And we bless you for your activism. Thank you for what you've done. Okay. Okay. Now, Tim, are we going to do a Q&A? We always give the folks who are standing behind the option of staying or not for that portion of the event. Okay, but we're gonna do a ribbon cutting. Okay, we're gonna do ribbon cutting in a few minutes. Go ahead.
Hi, President Bieber. Just a question on the folks that use the station. Frequently, there's either an Omni machine or a MetroCard machine, but not necessarily always both. And
Yeah.
I wonder if you could talk about like when there will be both in each station, so to facilitate.
Well, here's the good news is the Omni. We now have more Omni machines than we have MetroCard machines, because, as you probably know, the MetroCard, our beloved MetroCard, is going the way of the token. It's going to the heaven for fair payment media in the sky. Hang out with the token. So we're switching fully to tap and go, which is easier, and most important, it gets people the best deal automatically. You don't have to walk in and pay in advance to get a discount. You get it automatically when you tap, whether you're using an Omni card or a credit card or some other fair payment mechanism. So there's an Omni machine here, and Jamie, come on in.
I'll just add that as we've announced, Tap and Ride is the future. So we always encourage riders who haven't, we're above 80%, but anyone who hasn't, you can just tap with your bank card on the validators at the fare gates for entry across the whole system and on the buses, and we'll be bringing that to Beeline as well. Beeline is happening toward the end of the year. So we've announced that MetroCard, as Jano said, is sunsetting at the end of this year. We'll make sure that there, just as we transition on Beeline, that there's enough availability to still get a MetroCard at certain locations. But the key is for everybody to get onto Omni as soon as possible, because that's the future.
Thank you very much. The Beeline buses don't have the Omni just yet, and there are a lot of commuters beyond those. Yeah,
they will.
In relation to the stations that the disability officer mentioned, do you have a timescale for that in terms of the ones that are in progress? Thanks.
Well, big picture. We have close to 40 stations that are under construction now, on top of the 37 that we've opened in the last couple of years. The others are all part of the capital program that just completed in time, or which are going to be completed in the 2025 to 2029. So we have a lot of stations. I think it adds up to close to 19 stations in the Bronx that you're going to see executed in the next roughly 5 years.
This is Emily Swanson from the Bronx was wondering if you can just give an upgrade on the work going on at the Yankee Stadium station.
You want to take a shot? You can tell. I don't know all these details.
Yep, Yankee Stadium is also part of this package, and we're replacing all of the elevators there. That's scheduled to be brought back online. I'm going to look back at end of the year, right? Before the end of this year, we'll have those elevators back. Unfortunately, it's a lot of elevators at once, so we're not going to make it for the playoffs, but so for next season for sure. Yeah.
But I'll just add to that. Customers who need access, customers with disabilities, are able to ride the Metro North, and who have stepped in to help us deliver access to Yankee Stadium for customers with mobility disabilities who need access there.
Thank you. Congressman George Latimer mentioned that there was a delay with the 4 Metro North stations in the East Bronx. I was just wondering if you could talk about the impact of the Trump administration on the delays there.
That's actually not on top. Yeah. So listen. This is a project that this is a Bronx elected official group. So I think they all get it. The borough president especially. People in the East Bronx have been waiting for 100 years for the trains on the Hellgate line to stop in the Bronx. Right now they just zoom past on their way to Connecticut or to Boston or whatever. We are putting Metro North on the Hellgate line so people in the East Bronx can get where they're going much, much faster. Problem is, it's Amtrak's right of way. And we can only get work done if Amtrak gives us the outages and provides the flaggers and the other personnel that make it possible. We have had real problems getting Amtrak to do that. It's not a secret that one of the reasons that the East Side Access Project blew up and took as long as it did was that kind of problem with Amtrak when they own the real estate and they have to give you an outage in order to get work done. We're having some of those same problems. We're working on it. More to follow.
We've got time for a couple of off-topic questions. Anybody who wants to not be here for off-topic is fine. Then we're going to take a ceremonial first ride on the elevator. And
You can tell I'm getting that right with Amtrak, right? You can tell? I'm serious. I'm going to need your help because
Off topic.
you know what? I want to do the ceremonial stuff now, and we'll come back and do more press if they want to ask more questions. Let's do it.
For those newsrooms monitoring the live stream feed, after the ceremonial first ride is complete, we're going to have a couple of off-topic questions at the podium, and then we will be feeding you a B-roll package that shows the elevators in operation and the station. So B-roll to follow, off-topic questions, which will immediately come after the ceremonial first ride in progress.
Hi.
All right, we are going to resume the proceedings just briefly for a couple of off-topic questions. Sorry, Sheila, we just need to do a couple of off-topics. Bill, you ready, sir? All right, let's start with Haley Brown is right here from the New York Post. Haley.
Hello, two questions. So on the data, a report released last week that showed MTA had terrible subway service in June and July. Do you think bad service would be a reason to not raise fares when the board votes later this year? And do you want the second question now, too?
No, it's okay. I can just answer them one at a time. Listen, the report that you're using talked about the summer. The summer, including August, which was left out of that report, was actually a couple points better than prior years, and is actually at the high end of subway service, and is way better than it was before COVID. So obviously, we think the summer overall was good. We obviously had a tough couple days in July. It's not a secret that when the power outages happened at West 4th Street, the system got hit. But overall, service was good. And the reason that we're comfortable moving forward with the fare increase is that while everything else, inflation has gone up 60+% in the last roughly 10 years, the MTA's fares have gone up 16% and are still way cheaper than the cost of owning a car. So MTA is affordability, and we're comfortable that we're moving forward well below the rate of inflation.
Okay, second question. So you say you're a subway rider. You showed up here today with crutches. Sorry for any injury. But are you taking cars to get around while you have these crutches? Are you still able to take the subway even with the crutches? And what's that been like for you?
I have taken the subway, and I have been driven more as a result of the injury that I've had. And it's definitely been a very personal experience of how difficult it is to get around without a full accessibility. And I've used the elevators, and I've done a fair amount of stairs also. So it's definitely a much more personal encounter with the struggles that folks with disabilities do have, and people who just are getting a little older and struggle more with stairs. So I'm a little bit more sympathetic, even although it's not a secret to you, we've made ADA accessibility a priority for some years now.
All right, let's go to Michelle Charlesworth from Channel 7 Eyewitness News. Michelle.
There's a video that has been posted on TikTok of what is represented to be an employee of the MTA, an engineer who is allowing his teenage son and another boy to drive a J train around 111th Street. This is apparently video that was reported in July. Just wanted to hear, is there what's happening with an investigation? What's happening? We understand that that employee was on vacation, may still be on vacation. Is there disciplinary action? Is this person being fired? What can you tell us about what that is?
Okay, so the investigation is still underway, so I can't comment on the investigation. I'll give you my opinion. Somebody who lets people who are not qualified and certified and fully trained to drive a train ought to be fired. That's my opinion. I've got to let the disciplinary investigative process unfold.
All right, thanks everybody. Appreciate your time. Thank you. All right, any of the folks with vests and hard hats, if you want to join the photo, got a photo, group photo, all the contractors, thank you.
Come, Mama. I'm not just a vessel. That's MTA. That's an MTA press. They're coming to sit out, but everybody's going to be over here meeting, talking, the president, MTA, there's the Stevie president, and all they'll come out. We have a press conference. That's